Chapter 52 Magic Equipment, Bone Scythe Shield. The chief instructor also forced a smile. The berserk summoned beast was killed by Mo Fan. Shui Mesheng, Zhang Jianguo, Luo Yunbo, Bai Yang. The instructors and the teachers were all astonished. The person with the most intense reaction to this was naturally the summoner, Bai Yang. He looked at this barely second-year high school student, and his chin almost dropped to the ground. My spirit wolf was killed by you? Bai Yang asked without confidence. Mo Fan nodded. For a moment, Bai Yang's expression turned extremely strange. One could tell that this summoner's heart had collapsed. A magnificent spirit wolf was single-handedly killed by a student who participated in his first practical. Sheet, if he knew this would be the result, then Bai Yang would much rather believe that the spirit wolf was as stupid as a rabbit, hitting a rock by itself. This was too insulting for the spirit wolf's pride. Instructor Bai Yang had lost his spirit. Presumably, he wouldn't be able to calm down even if he were to write a paper. A huge waste. There would be nothing more wasteful than this for the rest of his life. It took a squadron about 2 months and an immeasurable amount of resources and manpower to finally subdue the spirit wolf. However, it was killed by a second-year high school student. How could these instructors possibly endure that? Each of the students were increasingly more dumbstruck. They were very clear on how abnormal this spirit wolf was. They knew that it would be a one-sided massacre. However, Mo Fan was the same as them, a second-year high school student. He relied on his own powers to kill the spirit wolf. Kneel. Really have to kneel. The other thing, I'll tell you some good news. Due to Mo Fan completing this impossible mission, you, the students of the elite class, will all receive grade A. Chief Instructor Zhangkang said to all the students. Really? Thank God, if I get an A, then I will definitely be able to enter a good magic university. Mo Fan, you are simply my greatest benefactor. I will definitely repay you when I'm rich. Mo Fan, do you have a girlfriend? A girl who was saved by him asked with a whisper as she blushed. Mo Fan, do you need a boyfriend? In an instant, Mo Fan became everyone's hero. After all, not only did he save everyone's lives, he even made it possible for everyone to receive grade A on their extremely important practicals. Zhao Kunsen was going to make a few more sarcastic remarks, but he was encircled by fiendish gazes from the surroundings. Those words, he swallowed deeply. Mu Bai's face was still extremely ugly. He was the first person to use magic, however, it was ineffective. Then he was stuck unconscious by the spirit wolf. In the end, his limelight was stolen by Mo Fan. Did you hear? That bounty was completed by a student. It seems like Bai Yang's spirit wolf was directly slaughtered by a student. Don't bullshit. We all know of the spirit wolf's prowess. If a student completed it, then I will eat the bounty liquid crystal, an incredibly bulky captain of a squad said. Then you should go and eat it. Pan Lijun swept her gaze across that man as she suddenly spoke up. Go look at it yourself. The bounty has been completed. The veterans in the stronghold all raised their heads. Sure enough, they discovered the bounty was flashing, completed, and beneath it said, Tian Lan Magic High second-year student, Mo Fan. Damn, this youngster sure is courageous. In an instant, the veterans within the stronghold were all stunned. The face of the person who said he'd eat a liquid crystal turned exceedingly ugly. Holy crap, there really is a student who completed a bounty which they themselves would not be able to complete. Soon enough, the news had spread across the stronghold. Except for the battle mages of Bo City, most of the people in the stronghold were hunters who wandered the mountains. These hunters relied on bounties and killing magical beasts to survive. After the news of this came out, each of the veterans within the stronghold felt a bit ashamed. The ones who ridiculed the students the most at the time were exactly these people. That magical equipment, the defensive magical equipment? The bald meddler hastily asked. Boss Zhangkang is having a headache right now. He never prepared a magic equipment because everyone knew the students would not be able to complete this. Boss Zhangkang is a very trustworthy person. He should be buying a defensive magic equipment to give to the student, Pan Lijun said. This student has made a huge profit, even Boss Zhangkang's heart is bleeding. Us who have gone through fire and flames would not necessarily attain a defense magic equipment. Sigh. Speaking of which, could that kid be the young master of some super ancient family? His body must be covered in luxurious adornments. How else was he able to go up against the magical beast? Bullshit, he's just a common student. I heard that his dad is just a driver who delivers goods to our stronghold. That really is too abnormal. We've always been a group when we fight against a magical beast. Within a stone house, Chief Instructor Zhangkong's hands were clasped onto a case, as a painful look crossed his face. Sheet, that sinister merchant's starting offer for this bone-scythe shield was 550,000. Zhangkong cursed. On the side, Luo Yunbo, Pan Lijun, and Bai Yang said nothing. A few battle mages were smiling to themselves. Normally within this stronghold, their boss Zhangkong would beat them till cuts and bruises are all over their bodies. Who would have known that there'd be a time where even boss Zhangkong would have a headache too? The bone-scythe shield. This thing was really not cheap. It took quite a lot of boss Zhangkong's salary. He had promised to reward himself this time. Thus, the government would definitely not cover it. Call the kid over, HMPH. Zhangkong ordered, still in a bad mood. Boss, I've been here this entire time. Mo Fan raised his hand as he spoke up. Boss Zhangkong's head wasn't very clear. When Zhangkong saw Mo Fan, he felt somewhat angry. He still had no idea about how exactly Mo Fan had killed the spirit wolf. Take it. Zhangkong handed the bone-scythe shield over to Mo Fan. Chief Instructor, could you let go, please? Mo Fan asked. Zhangkong's mouth twitched before he finally let go. After Mo Fan received this treasure, he felt excited from head to toe. Facing a magical beast this time made Mo Fan realize one point: just having attack power was not enough. Any magician who only knew how to attack would get killed by a magical beast in a single hit. However, if you had some defensive magic equipment, then it would truly be a treasure during this time that he hadn't learned a single defensive magic spell. Kid, if you can't find a suitable job after you've graduated, you can come here and report to me, Zhangkong said as he tried to present himself as a gentleman. Even if his heart was reluctant, Zhangkong had no choice but to admire this youngster's courage and quick thinking. The reason why so many magicians had been defeated by a magical beast was due to their thought processes. They didn't understand how to properly use their limited magic spells. Indeed, within the level of primary magician, all the mages could only be in possession of a single skill. But there were many ways to use a single spell. This kid had already grasped the true essence of magic, which many veteran mages haven't truly understood yet. Chapter 53 Make money, cultivate, and marry Tang Yue. Forget it, I'll just get into a good university. I heard that even higher levels of magic are only taught at university, Mo Fan said. When the chief instructor heard this, he felt angry. Sneaky kid, this instructor inviting you to our forces is your luck. You actually dare to reject me. Take the things and go. Don't let me see you again, Zhangkong snarled, as his bad mood grew worse. Oh right, was there only a single spirit wolf guarding the cavern? As Mo Fan carried it away, he was reminded of something and asked. There's only one. If there were others, then you'd already have become their food. Why, do you still have some doubts? Zhangkong said, there's nothing else, I just wanted to ask. Mo Fan nodded his head and looked toward instructor Bai Yang to the side. Your spirit wolf sure can drink. Bai Yang felt suspicious, but he didn't care. Hurry up and go, Zhangkong said impatiently. Mo Fan was kicked out of the barracks, but he couldn't help but whisper, this advanced mage got angry just because he gave away a magical equipment? The bone-scythe shield at this moment was in Mo Fan's hands. The bone-scythe shield just about covered Mo Fan's entire palm. Mo Fan, who knew nothing about magical equipment, was puzzled at this moment. Can something that only covers my palm really withstand the attack of a magical beast? Do they really think all magical beasts have a compulsive obsession to only hit the shield of Captain America? After going through some research, Mo Fan finally understood how to use the bone-scythe shield. When a mage uses their intent to enter the bone-scythe shield, the shield will automatically interlink with the magician's spirit and leave behind a magical equipment imprint within the mage's spirit world. After the imprint has been formed, the palm-sized shield will immediately assimilate into the interior of the magician's body. When the magician uses their intent to circulate the imprint, the magical equipment will immediately appear in front of the user. The shield that will appear at this time will not be the size of a palm. It will become a shield wall the size of a man. Effects like the spirit wolf's flying stone skill would then no longer be able to hurt him. No wonder this thing's price is so high. If I had this bone-scythe shield when I was up against the spirit wolf, then I could safely use magic from behind it. Mo Fan looked at the large rhombus-shaped bone scythe shield in front of him that had the pattern of a scythe. He couldn't help but smile. With this magical equipment, he would have some resources to duel against the Yuang of the Mu family. Speaking of which, I possess both the lightning and fire elements. Although lightning strike and fire burst are very useful, they still don't have the desired combat prowess when I am truly against a magical beast. Mo Fan couldn't help but ponder over this dilemma. Being able to kill the spirit wolf this time actually involved lots of good fortune. If it wasn't for the dazzling light that allowed Mo Fan to see the stalactites in the deeper part of the cavern, or Zhang Xiaohu's wind trail, or the student's unison attack, then he himself would have been shredded into pieces in an instant by the spirit wolf. If it wasn't for them, then how could he smoothly complete the bounty this time? I need to learn a spell similar to Wind Trail and Earth Ripple that allows me to move quickly and quickly change my own position. Or else, with my slow speed, I might get smacked to death by a magical beast before I could even finish forming my star path. After going through the battle this time, Mo Fan was finally aware of how important a defensive spell and a movement spell were. In the primary levels, only the water element possessed a defensive spell. In school, everyone thought that the water element was of little importance. However, in reality, the water element was essentially everyone's benefactor when it came to battling a magical beast. In my hands, I have a bone scythe shield. It can barely classify as a defense-type spell. Thus, the next time I awaken, I should consider a movement-type element, like the wind element, or the cool one like Mrs. Tongyue, a spell that allows you to move through the shadows. The wind element's primary spell, Wind Trail, was indeed remarkably useful in an actual battle. If you couldn't break away from a magical beast's attack, then you wouldn't even have the margin of time needed to use your magic. The wind element was a really good choice, but Mo Fan reckoned that the shadow element would suit him even better. After doing his research, Mo Fan understood that the spell which Mrs. Tongyue used to move within the shadows belonged to the shadow element. At his stage, the spells that everyone was familiar with were only within the basic element types. In reality, other than the basic elemental magic, magic had three other main types: white magic, black magic, and dimensional magic. The healing element was a part of white magic. The shadow element was a part of black magic. The summoning element which Bai Yang wielded belonged to the dimensional magic type. The 9 years of compulsory magic education in high school classes only had basic elemental magic. If you wanted to learn about the three secondary types of white, black, and dimensional magic, then you had to go to university. Currently, Mo Fan was in possession of the ability to control the fire element that possessed a high attack power, as well as the tyrannical lightning element. With the appearance of the bone scythe shield, he had attained the ability to defend himself. The only thing he was missing now were the movement spells. If one truly wanted to battle a magical beast by themselves, then one would be required to have those abilities. Shadow element. It was evident that this was the choice that was most suitable for him. I have to quickly rise to the ranks of an intermediate mage. This way I will be able to awaken yet another element. If only I can awaken the shadow element, Mo Fan said, filled with expectation. Most people could only awaken a single element as a primary mage. Mo Fan had innate double element, and thus, it could be said that he already had a huge advantage. An intermediate mage could not only learn the intermediate level magic spells, they could also awaken a second time, and give birth to yet another stardust. After they awakened yet another element, the mage's battle prowess would definitely have an upgrade in quality. Just like Chief Instructor Zhang Kong, when Mo Fan first met him, he was playing with flames. From this, you could tell that he was a fire mage. However, in the cavern, behind his back was a pair of wind wings that shocked everyone's hearts. Thus it was very evident that not only did he cultivate fire element, he also cultivated the wind element. Moreover, he could also deduce that Zhang Kong should be in possession of one more element spell. The wind wings was a spell that only advanced mages can control. Intermediate mages already possessed double elements, and when they reached the advanced level, they would have a third chance to awaken. They would have a third element. In short, primary mages only had magic of one element. Intermediate mages can awaken one more element, and thus be in control of two elemental magics. Advanced mages could awaken yet another element and control three elemental magics. Mo Fan was an innate double element, thus, he was already one step ahead of others from the very beginning. Additionally, if Mo Fan hadn't had the combination of fire and lightning elements, then he would not have been able to kill the spirit wolf. Chief Instructor Zhongkan didn't understand why the spirit wolf didn't evade the falling stalactite. This was because he couldn't imagine that not only was Mo Fan a fire element mage, he also possessed the lightning elemental stardust. It was the lightning strike that paralyzed the spirit wolf, causing it to be immobilized. I have the little loach pendant, as well as my cultivation capacity, which is twice as much as others. Thus, the progress of my cultivation will be much faster than other people. However, having both lightning strike and fire burst is not enough to single-handedly go up against magical beasts. I need to quickly become an intermediate level mage. That way, I could have one more set of elemental spells other than the lightning and fire spells I have right now. Having more spells doesn't create a burden on my body. I have to do my best. How did the slogan of the boys of Class 8 go again? Oh, right. Make money, cultivate, and marry Tanyue.